At it again, and we checked out a video from Brandon Tatum the other day, and apparently there's a part two. So of course we're diving right on into that. Like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button if you are new. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel too. All right, with your notifications turned to all. And if you would like to help me out even further with the YouTube algorithm, other than liking and commenting, of course, and sharing, sharing is caring. Watch this video to the very end. Helps out tremendously with the YouTube algorithm. I would greatly appreciate it. And with that being said, let's dive in.
If we were both owning houses in a similar neighborhood and I tried to sell my house and you tried to sell your house, my house would statistically be valued higher than yours.
That's a theory.
Because I have lighter skin than you.
What house do you live in?
Because I have lighter skin than you.
According to who?
I'm sorry?
According to who?
The skin color, or?
If you were working at a bank and you were giving out loans, would you give out a loan to a white man and not a black man?
That's what redlining is, you donuts.
Donut. He called him a donut.
What color? What's your race?
I'm biracial. That's real funny.
What did that mean?
You just said that your son is biracial.
What's your mix?
I'm Hispanic.
And what?
And white.
Okay, so you go by white?
I go by mixed.
So why is Obama black then?
Well, I mean, I'm also Hispanic. I'm white and Hispanic. There's multitudes.
But you're mixed. You're not just Hispanic.
Let's get back to the
Would you be the first Hispanic, whatever?
I mean,
if you want, if you feel like it.
Whatsoever.
So, are you Hispanic?
Can we get back to the?
No. Will you qualify for a minority benefits?
So you said that the United States.
Would you qualify for minority benefits?
So no, because I'm not. No.
Why not?
Okay, so
you're Hispanic.
So you said that the United States is not a racist country. However, the dominant social order imposes that white has to be pure, which you acknowledge comes from the United States.
You are perpetuating that, not me.
But we're not a racist country, like you said.
Do you believe there's things in this country you can do that I can't do?
Yes.
Name it.
Statistically, if...
No. You can do that I can't do.
Oh, well, then nothing. However, we kind of are dealing with lots of numbers and people. If we were both owning houses in a similar neighborhood and I tried to sell my house and you tried to sell your house, my house would statistically be valued higher than yours.
That's a theory.
Because I have lighter skin than you.
What house do you live in?
Because I have lighter skin than you.
How big is your house?
I don't... I'm sorry?
How big is your house?
I have no comment.
B-Tate, you don't have to flex on him like that, okay? B-Tate, we get it. He heard him loud and clear when he first acted. He was like, what? B-Tate probably live in a mansion on the hill somewhere, with the picket fence, the American dream type situation. We know, B-Tate. We know you got it. Matter of fact, send your boy a care package, okay? Send your boy a lifeline, all right? Goodness gracious. Let me run that back. That was a little funny.
That's a theory.
Because I have lighter skin than you.
What house do you live in?
Because I have lighter skin than you.
How big is your house?
I don't... I'm sorry?
How big is your house?
I have no comment on that. That's not important. That's a non sequitur.
It's not. Is your house bigger than mine?
If we had similar houses in a similar neighborhood and we both tried to sell our houses, statistically, my house would be valued higher than yours because you have darker skin than me.
According to who?
I'm sorry?
According to who?
The skin color, or?
If you were working at a...
Bro, can anybody tell me where this is happening? Please. If there's a statistic on this, let me know where these statistics were pulled, because I'm moving to that area, that neighborhood, wherever it is. I'm moving there and I'm selling a home. Right? I'm buying it and turn around and sell it. Okay? Just so I can get me some cash. All right? If you gonna undervalue my property simply because yeah, I'm getting me a check. Because I'm black, I'm getting me a check. I need money. I need that tatted on my forehead. I need money. I'm going to get me a check, man. So please let me know where this is happening, please.
Bank and you were giving out loans. Would you give out a loan to a white man and not a black man?
That's what redlining is, you donuts.
All right, let me explain redlining. Let me explain redlining for you guys. I was trying to make a point there. It was kind of comical. However,
It was funny.
this is a really good book for you to read as well. Thomas Sowell wrote a book called Discrimination and Disparities, right? Just because there's disparity don't necessarily mean that there's discrimination. I can go down the list. Do you think that school districts are discriminating against men? No, they're not. Women just decide to work in schools more so than men do. Do you think that the NFL is discriminating against white men? No, it isn't. Just so happened that black people, athleticism plays a role in black people playing in sports in the NFL. That does not mean because there's a disparity that there's discrimination. Now, redlining. I did my research on redlining. There is no unequivocal proof that the reason why loans were given or not given is just because people were black. So in theory, this is pretty much what it's supposed to be, that certain areas in our country, there was banks would not allow or they would not give certain loans to certain areas, right? Because of multitude of reasons. Whether it's a dangerous area, they wouldn't give mortgages to dangerous areas, areas that are run down, all of the above. And just so happened in some of these areas, they were minority areas. Now, people take that and say the banks were racist. But if you look at the institutions, the bank institutions, if they had higher qualifications or unrealistic qualifications for black people, unlike white people, then you would see that the rate of not being able to pay your loan, right? If the defaulting on your loan and different things like that, you would see it being higher amongst whites and not blacks if they had extra qualifications for blacks. And that's not what happened. Now, I don't know if it was racist or not. I don't believe that it was because I don't believe there's a correlation. Look at the black banks and look at the white banks. Black banks rejected black people at the same rate or higher than white banks did. Where's the correlation? You know, where's the outcry on that? And so moving forward.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And that's often, throughout this journey, that's one thing that I have learned. And I actually saw an example of it this morning when I was, what was I watching? I was watching something. But the left will say something or blurt out a statistic without telling you the details. Without telling you, for example, gender pay gap. They'll say men are paid more than women. Men are paid more than women. Oh, this is a crime. But they won't tell you the details. They won't tell you you're comparing apples to oranges. They won't tell you that when you really break it down, right? And I think even, was it Google or Apple? It was one of the big companies, Apple or Google, that actually looked into this and did some research and found out that they weren't paying the men enough. They were underpaying the men and overpaying the women. So they had to go back. I believe it was Google, right? Y'all let me know in the comment section. I think that was Google. Don't quote me on that. It was Google or Apple or one of these big companies that looked into it and realized, oh crap, we're actually paying the women a lot more than more than the men. We owe the men a check, right? So they won't tell you the details. There was something else. What was it? Oh, it was the pew-pew violence amongst kids. They were talking about, what's the leading cause of death amongst kids? The pew-pews. But then when you really break it down, well, first off, you're including 18 and 19-year-olds in that statistic, right? Which they don't tell you. First off, 18 and 19, those aren't kids. And 14 to 17, most of that is gang violence, which they don't tell you. Those are criminals regardless. So you're not going to stop that. And then when you take the rest, it's nothing. There's basically nothing left. What are we supposed to do? Just get rid of everything? Okay, so are we going to get rid of cars and knives and all this other stuff too? They hide the details from you when they're blurting out these statistics. And if you don't know the true numbers and the numbers behind it, then it seems believable. Oh man, that's actually tragic. Yeah, a lot of kids died of gun violence. Well, when you really break it down, it's not exactly true. That's what the left does all the time, man. That's one thing that I've learned throughout this journey, because that's a recurring thing. They'll say something, get people's emotions involved, but then when you really break it down, it's not exactly the truth. Or it's not the whole truth.
The idea people at the same rate or higher than white banks did. Where's the correlation? Where's the outcry on that? And so moving forward, the idea from one side says that they only did this because they were black. On another side, they had ramifications for people not taking care of their communities, not having good credit and the like. So you have the two factions that have a difference of opinion. And you go to move forward and you say, how does redlining affect black people today? I grew up in a black neighborhood, and many people who talk about this subject have never lived in a black neighborhood. It's not about redlining that I saw or anything that had anything to do with the government, the reason why black communities were suffering so much. It was culture and personal responsibility. There's no law that makes you not graduate from high school. That's a personal decision. There's no government law that thrusts you into selling drugs in your community. That's a personal decision. Unfortunately, black people, in my opinion, in these inner cities have adopted this culture that's destructive. And this has really no relevance. Now, let me give you an example of how I think that the overcorrection of what they call redlining, and this is what they do every time, caused the crash of the market. Because in, protests to redlining, they now gave non-discriminate loans to people who did not qualify.
Which is obviously terrible. Or it's like when most people have bought a home, right? And they say, hey, you're approved for X amount. Like, you can push it to this dollar amount. And then you see people maxing that number out. And you're like, holy. Like they tell you that, but I don't think that's what you should do. Like, you should fall below that number. You shouldn't, max it out, right? Now, of course, technically, you could afford that number, but it's going to be rough for you. You fall upon one hard moment in life, one rough month or stretch of months, and you're up Poops Creek without a paddle because now you have this payment that's way up here because the bank said, hey, we'll approve you for this. You could have this amount. And you said, oh, yeah, I'm there, son. Instead of just being like, yeah, I'm cool. I like that number, and I know I can find something nice up there, but I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna chill down here somewhere, right? Because that money between here, I can just stack that up. You see that? I mean, somebody, when was that? A few weeks ago, somebody was buying a house, and somebody that I know, and they just absolutely maxed out their budget, and I'm just like, ain't my business. Ain't my business. I mean, it was kind of my business because they told me, but I mean, I said what I had to say and I left it at that, but my goodness, some people, man, some people. I mean, I'm not perfect either. I don't want to make that sound like I'm perfect, right? Because I make dumb decisions my darn self, okay? Make no mistake about it, right?
And what happened? We had a whole crash of the system.
Yep.
Black people were not defaulting on their loans at a higher rate than we've ever seen in history. And that's because they focus on race, and we should be focusing on results. If you don't have a high credit score, you should not be able to get a particular loan. There's a lot of other things that are factored into this. Larry Elder wrote a really good piece. Tommy Sowell obviously wrote a really good piece. They both are very similar in their thought process here. They don't answer a lot of questions that go along with the behaviors of different people, right? They go, well, they give loans to white people at a better interest rate than they give to black people. What they don't ask the question of is that, are they equal in their financial situation? If you look at statistical data, white people have 30% more savings than black people do. When you go to get a loan, if you know anything about loans, they look at how much liquid funds you have. They look at what you have in your savings. They look at how much money you make. Yep. And then you have to negotiate. Are black people negotiating to get a better interest rate? Or are they just taking the first thing that they get? All of these things are questions that need to be answered before you articulate that redlining is the problem and the banks are discriminating against black folks.
Facts. No lies told. No lies told. All of this leftist stuff is actually destructive. It's destructive. He just gave you an example. Oh, we're going to rebel against what the banks used to do. So we're going to give all these people loans. Just going to hand them, hey. We're sorry for what happened in the past. Here you go. Horrible idea. Horrible idea. That may work for a few months. It may even work for a year or two. But eventually, everybody runs into a rough patch in life. Whatever form that may come in, I have no clue. But we all run into rough times. We all run into rough times, whether it's your health, right? A family emergency where you need to take some unexpected time off of work. It's your car just broke down. You were making payments on the car. Now it's shot. Now you got to go buy a new car. You know, all types of different situations. But now you have these extra expenses, and you already maxing yourself out because of the house payment that you had, because you wanted the big house, the big nice house in the nice neighborhood, you know, that looked great and fantastic, that you could brag to all your friends about and bring them over and, hey, yeah, this my home, you know, kind of thing, because the bank said you could have it, and now you're up Poops Creek without a paddle in sight. Now you about to get really embarrassed when you get kicked out of that home. When you could have just took something modest and just been chilling. And when that emergency happened, you had some funds to, you know, cover yourself. You see stuff like that all the time. This leftist, what in the world? I'm out here talking like Joe Biden right now. These leftist policies and things that they push are just destructive. Absolutely destructive. Look at California. Look at California. Look at New York. Look at Chirac. A city, an American city, nicknamed Chirac. How sad is that? Goodness gracious. I rest my case, man. Y'all let me know what you thought about this craziness in the comment section below. Like, share, comment. Hit that subscribe button before you go. Shout out to Tatum. I'm out.